Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have Clare Collins with us. And Clare, it's great to have you. I just am very excited to hear this story of how you worked in the world of bikinis, and then all of a sudden you're in industrial real estate. So that sounds very intriguing to me. I'd love to hear this story.
Thanks, Bruce. As I mentioned earlier, we have two good names of alliteration, Bruce Bean and Clare Collins. So hopefully that's a good start to the show. Yes, the bikini world. So when I grew up as one of five kids, my parents gave us what we needed, which was food, shelter, and education. And then if we wanted to go buy excess goods, that was on us. So I loved Abercrombie, for example, growing up. And I had to learn how to make the money to buy the things I wanted to. And then that rolled into high school, which rolled into college. And in the beginning of college, I had to figure out how I was going to make money to do all the fun extracurriculars outside of school. And first it started with hair bows, actually. Hair bows and bow ties.
Oh, homemade ones?
Yes, homemade.
Sort of.
And then I was homemaking them and selling them, USC themed ones or USC themed bow ties or other schools and selling those. But then I quickly learned I needed to learn how to scale it up and have someone else produce them for me. So that's when I first went downtown LA. And as you may know, and some may not, USC is very close to downtown LA, but not too close. And it's a dicey neighborhood for a young 18-year-old girl to be riding her beach cruiser from USC downtown LA. And I just rode my bike down and started door knocking on what I thought were areas making fabric and clothing. And I would just look in windows and find, there's a shop selling sewing machines. Maybe they would sew. I went into pattern making schools. Maybe they could sew. And I went up and into buildings door knocking, and a lot of people turned me away. I had to practice some Spanish, and ultimately I found my first outsource there. So they made the bows. And then the next year I started doing game day tops for ladies. USC has a fun culture of we dress up for the games and all sorts of USC garb. And I had, my first manufacturer so they could help me. But then I learned how to do another thing, making spaghettis, which I don't even know if you know what that is, Bruce, but it's like if you tie a bikini, there's two strings.
Yeah, right. You get the spaghetti straps. Yeah.
There
right.
you go.
Yeah.
Learned how to make that. That was a different machine and technique. And then I learned how to laser cut and embroider. And these are all just finding different people in the fabric district or using my USC resources. So I'd go make friends in the engineering school. Hey, can you help me laser cut this fabric? And that was for free. And then I learned how to sell wholesale to someone else at USC who had a business of selling USC apparel. That then ultimately rolled into the swimsuits. Why swimsuits? My sisters and I would always make our own swimsuits for ourselves and our friends for 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
I'm from Phoenix, so a lot of time in the pools, and in the summer, everyone from Arizona flocks to the beach. So we started making swimsuits for 4th of July, and then we got into it more and more and more, and we were making our own suits. And I was in an entrepreneurship class at USC. We had to do a viability project. What kind of business is it going to launch? Give us all the background. And I said, I'm just going to take this seriously, and I'm going to launch the business. So my youngest sister was a freshman at SC at the time, and I was a senior. And I produced with her an entire line. We designed, had patterns made, had the swimsuits made, and did a fashion show. Yes, a bikini fashion show in class. But
very popular, I'm sure.
Yes, we kept it PG. We had boys modeling tops and, all the fun things, noodles, blow up toys, music. It was very fun. And yes, it went from there. It was a no inventory model. We sold a lot to our sorority sisters for spring break, and it was all make to order. And it lasted about 5 years until my sister said, I'm moving to San Francisco. I'm out of the business. And I ran it a little bit myself. And then I realized this isn't fun anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You said, oh, yeah. The fashion show was great, but now we're talking serious business here.
Yeah, we were making money, but it was fun to do in partnership. But when I was a senior, I said to my dad, who is a bankruptcy now,
Oh,
he's a
oh,
judge, but he
oh,
used to
oh,
be
wow.
he
Yeah,
used to be a bankruptcy attorney at the time.
yeah.
He's very fiscally conservative. He says, absolutely, you're not going to be running a bikini line and working in a restaurant. You need to get a real job. And so there goes my dream that was crushed, but it was definitely the right advice because it's very tough to compete with China in manufacturing apparel.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
cost that I paid to make one swimsuit, I could buy from a Chinese company a complete product
Oh, wow.
shipped to
Oh,
me. So
wow.
it's just a very competitive business.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, when I was in my entrepreneurial phase, which I still feel entrepreneurial, but when I was truly trying to build a business, I thought I'll sell that and invest in real estate. And I think real estate's a smart business.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
studied real estate finance and business at USC, and I had friends' dads who said, you should become a broker. And, I didn't know what that was. My dad's a lawyer, my mom's a doctor. And, but then I started looking around and I ended up landing a job at Kennedy Wilson outside of college, and that's what kicked off my real estate career.
Yeah. That's a big firm, right?
Yes, Kennedy Wilson is great. They're global, very creative firm, and they have all sorts of different divisions. I started in an internship for a few months in their construction division, and I remember looking at plans and counting, we call them supplies and returns, but you can look around your house or an office and there's, the little grates that push out air.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember counting them on plans and working on office TIs, tenant improvements.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I met the brokerage team and I weaseled my way onto that team.
And then you moved to Rexford.
Yes, so 3 years of Kennedy Wilson and then was recruited over to Rexford Industrial, which is another public company. Rexford is a REIT based in Southern California. It's about 51 million square feet now at this point. We've grown a lot recently, and I've been here for almost 6 years. We specialize in infill industrial product in Southern California only. And that's a business model we've stuck to for years since one of our founders started the business himself.
Wow. So it sounds like you have a very particular type of building that you buy. What's your sweet spot?
Exactly. So we want to be infill. It's product that is hard to replicate, and there likely is not going to be a building built next to you because it's very supply constrained and it's heavily sought after. So there's strong demand. And the reason that Southern California is so great is because we have these enormous ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. Many people know about that. But not only do we have those ports, and remember, a lot of the goods are coming from Asia through these ports. It's the most direct on a ship. And not only is that important, but we have this massive consumer base of Southern California. Girls like me ordering bikinis from China.
Gotta have it. Yeah. So,
So even without the ports, just think about that massive consumer base of LA alone. Then you have Orange County, Ventura County, going out to the Inland Empire, San Diego. It's a massive consumer base.
so are you doing strictly industrial or do you do some incubator space, some smaller spaces? Your average building size, you said earlier, is like 26,000 square feet, which is in the industrial world is not gigantic. That's pretty small.
Right. That's our average unit size. And I apologize if
Oh,
I'm
unit
confusing
size.
this. It's the
Okay.
average
All right.
unit size. So we do have some business parks that can help bring that down. We also have, our largest building ranging up to 1 million square feet. But even that has a business plan that could be divisible into
Yeah,
4 units, into 2 units. And so we can get creative with that.
right. And so the current tariffs, let's talk a minute about tariffs. So,
Oh my goodness. You have a crystal ball?
well, I I have talked to some other industrial brokers in the LA area, and they say that they have been affected. So, how are things right now?
Yes, I would agree that yes, people have been affected. It's more just it's hard to operate when in the unknown,
Yeah.
right? We've
Right.
seen we've seen tenants pause. We've seen tenants come back online. The uncertainty makes things hard, but that also creates opportunity. And we've learned about all sorts of new different things like foreign trade zones and different ways to work with customs. We've learned more about shipping. We've just tried to get smarter about this. But at the end of the day, we have a great product in Southern California, industrial in the infill markets, and that's going to be needed.
So
So,
what's sort of your average return on your REIT these days?
in what sense? On the
Well,
REIT itself?
let's go to the actual buildings. Are you getting a 6% return, higher than that? What sort of number do you look for when you're trying to acquire a building?
That's a great question, and also another crystal ball type of question. We're finding right now that there's still a bid-ask spread, as they would say, where we would love to buy a building, but the seller is remembering the times a few years ago when interest rates and the market was quite different, and so there's a bit of a misalignment there, and it's a lot harder to do transactions, and it's hard to price them. It's also challenging to price because lease rates are changing. So things are changing, but we are very active. I mean, we're always an active buyer. Rexford has a very creative model that we created years ago where we have a custom Salesforce database.
Mm.
And we've been working on that for years. And there's notes about owners, there's notes about tenants, there's notes about building functionality. And we're chasing these buildings daily, weekly, monthly, annually with our broker partners. Um, we have all sorts of creative ideas to be chasing down those deals. So when it's ripe, then we're ready to chase it. Another common one in Southern California for transaction is a sale leaseback
Mm.
from an owner user. So,
Right,
someone has an aerospace business
right.
and they started it from the ground up and they own their building and now they're ready to sell their business to perhaps a private equity company, and the private equity company might not want the real estate, or maybe they want to retain the real estate and then later they want to sell it, or that creates an interesting opportunity for us.
So are you in the Salesforce database yourself? Are you calling people? Are you calling owners?
Yeah, so I was, Bruce, on the acquisitions team for 4 years, and there's a very much a force that works that pipeline, and that used to be me. And now, for the past year and a half, coming on 2 years, I have been running the customer solutions platform. So I also use Salesforce, but this is a way to tap into our customer base and to grow the business through our own tenants that we have in the portfolio today, of which we have 1,600.
Whoa, wow.
As
That
as I mentioned, our average unit size is 26,000 square feet, so that's quite a few.
Well, I hope you're not the only person tracking 1,600 people.
No, we we also have in-house property management, and they're really the boots on the ground that are taking care of these tenants every single day. But my role is to connect with them on a deeper level and at typically a higher level, at a business level, to understand their business so that we can be better landlords, understand their need. How do they use the building? What do they need as far as the building? So again, we can be better landlords. And that includes being better investors
Yeah.
and understand where they're going. And
So I'm
how can we partner with them for the life cycle of a business?
very cool. I bet they're pretty happy about that, I would think.
Yes, I think it usually resonates well with the tenants and the brokers. For example, if we have a tenant in our building that, let's say, they're distributing mugs or cups,
Yeah.
they're new in the business. They started in a 20,000 square foot unit and they have a lease with Rexford, 20,000 square feet. I talk to them and I say, how's business going? They say, we're busting at the seams. I say, great, your lease doesn't expire for 3 years, but let me rip that lease up and move you into a bigger building. Now
Wow.
from a 20,000 square foot, you're in a 50,000. And the next thing you know, they'll take up the a million houses or the a million square feet.
Bet you have in 1,600 folks, I bet you have a few of those that have happened for sure.
Absolutely. And even if they need to consolidate their business and the space needs have changed, that's still an opportunity we want to create within our portfolio. We have 51 million square feet.
Wow.
So there's usually an opportunity we could create. However, sometimes it's a blessing and a curse because we might already have a leased building and a tenant that's thriving.
Yeah, well, it's always a juggling act. So I'm curious, does Salesforce talk to Yardi or vice versa, or are they totally separate databases?
Our IT or our technology team, which has been growing in a great way, is kind of the mastermind there. And what they do is, which I really appreciate, is they look at each business unit and what their needs are and what tools they're already using. So if someone's already using Salesforce, but someone over here is using Yardi or someone over here is using something else, and they connect them all.
Wow.
So yes, they can communicate. For example, I use Salesforce to maintain my database because I was trained on the acquisitions team who also uses Salesforce.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
the information from Yardi can be cycled into that. And I
Oh,
noticed that it's actively getting updated. So Rexford is very impressive on the technology side. That's for
wow.
a real estate company. Usually we're
That
pretty old school in real estate.
that is very impressive. I was thinking that was possible, but you're the first group I've talked to that has that particular item working. So that's fantastic.
And
Well,
by the way, we had to create our own Salesforce. Someone
oh,
on the
really?
team had to create the Salesforce from ground up because it wasn't quite working to get what consultants were helping us work with.
Yeah.
We needed our own custom machine, so we ended up building it ourselves.
Well, do you mean within Salesforce you built?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
And
I,
that's a good kind of metaphor to what Rexford does. It's very
uh,
much focused on, its business. Everyone always is trying to get us to leave our market. We're committed to that business and building it from the ground up. And we're very focused on building premier product so that it will lease today, it will lease tomorrow, and it will lease after that.
yeah,
And when in good times and in bad, if you have the best product, then you're likely going to lease. And that's
that's
our business.
that is fantastic. Well, I think we could talk for another couple days probably, but given I have to go pick up our grandchildren.
Oh, you didn't tell me you had grandchildren. That's exciting. Now
Well,
you've achieved the highest status, grandpa.
wow, you are great. Boba, my Boba is the name.
Boba.
Boma. Anyway, we will pause here, but I look forward to talking to you again in the near future. I think we've got a lot more to talk about. So I would look forward to that.
Sounds good, Bruce.
All right. And where will people get a hold of you, Claire?
Let's see. LinkedIn, Clare Collins, or my email at Rexford is ccollins@rexfordindustrial.com.
So if you're a property owner or maybe a
A
tenant,
tenant,
yeah,
industrial
okay. If
tenant.
you're a tenant, call Claire. All right. She
Appreciate
will
you,
help.
Bruce.
All right. We'll talk soon. I appreciate the time.
Give your grandkids a big kiss for me.
Okay. All right. This is from Claire. All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Bruce. Have a great day.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.